Hello, Lollies, and today our Reddit stories will be work related. I hope you enjoy. And our first story will be from Petty Revenge, and the title is Got My Old Boss in Trouble and Fined. I'm missing a little story about an old sign shop I used to work at now years ago. The same company that I actually wrote in subreddit malicious complaints about. However, this is just me being petty and vindictive. A few days ago, I happened to be in a part of my city that is a part of heritage zone, a few blocks of building and a main street that is very old, over 250 years. Any work in that area, to the buildings or the heritage structure, you need to have it approved by the heritage committee. It's honestly an easy process that I have worked with when you want to put up a new signage in any of those areas. They have rules and regulations you need to follow, and yes, while it may take longer and involve more paperwork, it does keep the whole area looking sharp and keeps that old-timer feel. While I was shopping in the area, I happened to see my old company work van on site nearby and installing a flat sign on the side of the building, as in physically drilling into the side of the building, which is a huge no-no. What was worse, the sign was covering a commemorative hand-painted mural showing the history of the place and why the building in particular was special, all to advertise the local old-time candy shopping summer sale. I walked over to other employees. They would have no idea who I was if they were allowed to do that. They told me, of course, it's the business owner's building. They can do what they want. So I took a few photos, made sure to include the shop's one with the signed shop name on it, and the building it was being installed on. I made sure not to include the employee's face, and I mailed it into the Heritage Society, saying if they approved this, knowing they didn't. On Friday, yesterday, my boss, I work at a new sign shop now, comes back from lunch and is like, "Did you hear about the old sign shop? Apparently, they damaged the heritage building in old part of town and are now being fined for it. They're in so much trouble." I just smiled and pulled out my phone to show him the photos and the email I sent. It was a good Friday. Just to give some context, I left the old shop on bad terms. I was put in the spot to do unsafe work or to be fired. So I walked and reported them. The new owner, it was taking over while I worked there, did some shady shit, ran a very unsafe shop, and burned through the employees about every 6 months. The owner refused to listen to anyone and often blamed the staff for their mistakes in front of clients. The design world is a small world. Knows everyone. Everyone gossips all the time. I have been doing this long enough that people remember me. It's funny hearing our friends and new clients shit talking about the shop all the time. When they learn I used to work there, so much tea is spilled. Oh my gosh, I love that. I mean, I don't like that she worked here. They work for a very bad place and very bad owners. I know what it feels like, but I'm happy that they got out of it, and I'm happy that they got some type of revenge. Maybe it's not the revenge everyone wants, but it warms your heart a bit when you know that someone has done something bad for you is suffering because of consequence of their own actions. I like that. You didn't harm them like by your own hand. They just did something wrong, and you like alerted someone that their own actions are paying for. Overall, the commentaries here, I agree with our OP. One of the commenters, replied, "You shouldn't have outed yourself, knowing your boss won't trust you. But nice going otherwise." And the OP replied, "If my new boss wants to pull the same shit that the old one did, he can fire me as well. He wants to. He's the great guy who cares about his shop and people and leads by example rather than barking orders." Okay, yeah, if the new boss doesn't do the same shit that the old one did, why would he fire her? Like, if you're a good person, well, you don't even have to be a good person, you just have to be careful what you do. Now, some people just don't care about morals, but they're like, yeah, if I do that, I might get some type of consequences that I can't quite shield myself from. And they just don't do it because they have some, preventive measures inside their brains. Um, but props on them. Okay, next story. Okay, so this one is also from Petty Revenge, and the title is Thought Balls. I didn't have enough time to do everything. She just laughed. Okay, I don't like when people laugh about that, but okay. I worked at a newspaper company from the time I was 19 to about 21. Started out as a receptionist and later got placed into a data entry position for the billing of advertisement slots. I was a fast and reliable type, so it made sense. Not a glamorous job, but I enjoyed it. I was pretty much the only data entry person for a significant time period. My coworker at the main office would enter their own cells into the system, but I entered those from our other offices. During this period, the owner of the company were buying up more small town newspaper. I believe at the time we were up to about 16, so we were over 20 when I left, and they were still buying more. Well, one of the things I did before I moved into data entry was do legal documents. This mostly consisted of changing dates, newspaper name, and supervisor's name. Then I would post on a cutout of the notice that they require a legal document for and place them on my boss's desk for her to get signed and notarized. I started doing legal documents after training and the new receptionist, who was frankly not that great at her job. I don't remember why exactly, but my boss asked me if I could do a few legal documents one week. At this point in time, we had just bought four new newspapers, and I was way too busy trying to keep up with deadlines to do those legal documents. So I told her I didn't have the time to do them, and she just laughed at me and told me I'd figure it out. Okay, that was a very big dick move for someone who doesn't have it. Keeping in mind that I am 20, the youngest person in the office by at least a decade, or I worked from being the sole person in charge of multiple newspaper advertisement and a frequent scapegoat for any mistakes made in the data, which, like 9 times out of 10, the mistakes were made by my boss. Well, obviously, you would be the scapegoat. You wouldn't blame themselves. You can literally see this by checking who last opened and submitted it and not. They just never bothered verifying by who made the mistake. I've pointed this out countless times and they did sheepishly walk away. At least they could accept that they did something wrong. They knew it deep down themselves. Um, which all led me to decide to be a bit petty. So I went to my office and entered the data. Every newspaper had a different deadline which I'd have to meet so they could compare the preprints to the data for the following week. But those legals weren't due until Friday, so for 3 days I tried to keep up with the sheer bulk of all the data I had to enter and barely even glance at the legal documents. Friday was a slower day in the afternoon, but notaries typically left around noon. By the time I got the legals done, she was gone. My boss, who had forgotten about the legals, blew up demanding why I didn't do them earlier and that they had to go out today. I, who still had a giant stack of data I had to enter by Monday at noon, simply looked her in the eye and said, I told you I didn't have the time to do them. Apparently, I glared so hard that she immediately backed down, which honestly I was and still am super proud about. She didn't having to drive to the notary's house and get her to sign them and drive back to the office and fax them. The notary did not live in the town. Oh, that's good. That's good. Um, props for the OP. Yeah, props for the OP. That's power move. Honestly, if you can make your boss back down from making stupid decisions, that's wow. That's awesome. I want to do that too when I grow up. I don't have the glare, but I kind of have the resting, well, beach face, I guess. Like if I forget to smile, I honestly look like I'm angry all the time, but it's not intimidating, which I find it very upsetting. At least I would like to be being scared of. But anyway, I don't like bosses that they make it do something, but they honestly don't appreciate it or don't account for the time or for your work. And I'm not sure that OP was paid enough. Maybe they did, which I would be happy for them, but it sounds like maybe they didn't. But if they're right only about the time being lacking and not the money, then maybe they had it good, at least nice enough. What the comments say? Someone commented, did you know how imposing your glare is before this, or was it like discovering new secret power? Appear to play. I have definitely used it in future situations, though. I have been told I look scary when I do it. Oh my gosh, that's nice. I want to have this superpower too. Um, okay, so not on to the next story. So this story is titled My Tale of Sweet Petty Revenge on a Boss Who Treated Me Terribly for 3 years and Tried to sabotage my career. I'm actually a bit afraid to read this because it's pretty long, but okay, let's begin. I worked at my previous job for over 3 years. It was there that I met the worst boss on the face of earth, who we'll call Ariel. Ariel wasn't that bad the first year and a half I worked there. She was very narcissistic, could not stand being wrong or anyone doing better than her, and could be very belittling, but overall, once you got to know her and her ways, you could kind of deal with it. It wasn't great, but allowed the work I was doing, so I put up with it. At the year and a half mark, I got promoted. Ariel was still my boss, but I had more responsibility and authority over the co-workers I had previously been working alongside. All of them were very happy for me. Everyone except Ariel. It's like a switch thrown inside of her, and her crazy, micromanaging, narcissistic behavior increased tenfold, basically only directed at me. She was straight up lied to me, still impressive ideas that I had floated to her and take credit for them, and look for any excuse whatsoever to reprimand me or talk down to me in front of her boss, big boss, to make me look bad. Reflecting back on it, I didn't really know what her problem with me was. The best guess I could come up with was that she felt her job was threatened by me moving up in the company. I was very good at what I did and do know how to do a lot of the things her job involves. But it also comes with several responsibilities I had no interest in, and she knew all of this. Aside from that, she's been with the company for nearly a decade. All the higher ups loved her and were not wise to how she treated her subordinates, since she put the fear of God in all of us, and since no one wanted to be on her bedside, no one spoke of it. So she really had no reason to feel so threatened. Since the promotion, I had been dealing with her unprofessional and ultra terrible behavior of me and taking it all in stride. I really liked my job. I could handle things. Then shit got worse. First, remember how I said she lied? Well, I had a very important client come in for a meeting with me. It was absolutely imperative client who informed all XYZ before they came in. This was part of Ariel's job. The day of the meeting comes along and I'm reading through an email correspondence between client and Ariel, which Ariel forwarded to me, literally the morning of an urgent meeting, as late as she could possibly send me the information. I noticed that XYZ is not mentioned. We do often have phone conversations with our clients, so figuring this is what happened and wanted to verify it, I call up Ariel. I ask her if she is absolutely sure client knows about XYZ. It is not the Iron Morning she tells me, of course I did. Did you not read the email I forwarded? I explained that yes, I did, and the lack of it mentioned in there is what prompted my call. She practically cuts me off to say, oh yeah, client fault. I told them over the phone. I was super skeptical, but I trusted her. She knew how incredibly important it was, and surely she couldn't be this much of an asshole. Spoiler alert, she could. Who could have guessed? I went to his meeting thinking Ryan knew about XYZ. He did not, and him having to find out at what was intentionally the last minute made him understandably very angry. He also had lost trust in us because here I am talking to him like he knows about it and being just as surprised at him when he doesn't. We lost their account. This reflected badly on me because I was the one meeting with him. Unless I personally spoke to a big boss, and then their boss, and accused Ariel of lying, it would just be assumed I screwed up as there was no way Ariel would defend me or admit her lie. We had spoken about it over the phone too, so there was no concrete proof she lied. Another one of her shining moments came a few months later. A meeting this was scheduled with an important potential client, which would be handled by Big Boss. Ariel and myself, I don't want to be too specific, but the company had created a new product, and it was Ariel's responsibility to explain to me the functions and limitations of it, as with usual protocol. The boss was essentially sitting into the meetings with her seniority made the client feel important. Ariel and I are running the show. Meetings run by Ariel and I were pretty usual. Big Boss being part of them was uncommon. I got to explain to the client how this new product cannot do this one specific thing, which Ariel specifically told me it could not. And she swooped in and corrected me, and it does in fact do this thing as long as it returns this knob first. I was livid. She made me look as if I had no idea what I'm talking about, like I'm a utter idiot in front of not only the client but Big Boss. It was such an incredibly simple thing too, and Big Boss loves Ariel, and it wouldn't have even crossed her mind. Carol didn't properly explain it to me, let alone straight up lie about it. And even is then, if I caught her out on it, it would just again come up to he says she says thing. That was my breaking point. This was ridiculous, and I had to get as far away from Arla as I could. She was sabotaging my career. Thankfully, about a month and a half later, I accepted an offer from a great job with better pay and even a better commute, and gleefully put in my 2 weeks' notice. On the morning of my second to last day as a company, my brother calls. My niece has lies, and both he and his wife have it too. Knowing I spent a lot of time with her, they called to tell me to check myself out. Lucky me, I also have lies. Oh my god, don't tell me you're about to do what I'm saying you're going to do. Oh my god. Um, it's like an hour before I have to start work. I don't have time to go get live streaming and deal with this right now. So Google can find the best way to prevent spreading it is to pull your hair up in a neat tight bun and spray it with a barrier of hairspray to decrease the chances of stray hairs flying around. I do so and head into work to deal with getting rid of lice when I get home. I wanted to prevent the chances of anyone else contacting lice, because if you have ever been unlucky enough to have it, you'll know what it is a bitch to do with. Pain in the ass, treatments that has to be done a few times, which are extremely harsh on your hair. Lots of washing clothes and spraying down furniture, because even just one tiny little need could recognize the infestation. One thing you should know about Iris is she absolutely loves her hair. It's this beautiful shade of auburn, long, and perpetually has the most perfect relaxed wave to it. As much as I hate her and hate to admit it, she really does have gorgeous hair most women dream about. Honestly, she looks like this nice person Ariel. She's obsessed with it and does everything she possibly can to maintain its beauty. She even goes so far as to keep some dry shampoo, hairspray, and a brush in her desk. I know because I've seen her pull them out and use those things many times. Well, that morning she was extra sore and in spring beach mode, probably because my leaving caused her a lot of work to fall on her shoulders until they found someone qualified to replace me. I was already leaving for a much better and more peaceful job, but I was and still am astounded at how she treated me. So, when she left to go to lunch, I quietly made my way to into her office, took out my bun, shook my hair out, and ran her brush through my lice-infested hair. Oh my god. I hope she enjoyed constantly itching her head and lice treatment causing damage to all that beautiful auburn hair. Tell Germ, boss is terrible to me for 3 years and sabotages my career, so upon leaving for a much better job, I make sure she gets lice. Oh my god. Oh, wow. Um, I haven't worked. I mean, I never had much trouble with lice myself. I did have it when I was younger, but it never was so bad. We just did some treatment. I don't remember what we did exactly. I think we used like dog shampoo. Anyone, you can try dog shampoo and it will be alright. It's much better for your hair than all other treatments, and it deals with lice just as good as any other product does. Because yeah. So we didn't have much trouble with it. Is how she's describing. Maybe it's something different. Maybe it's USA or whatever country it is. Lice. Okay. I'm shocked. This is a very petty revenge, and it's probably pro revenge because if someone loves their hair, I can't. I don't know how I would survive it, honestly. Um. Okay. One of the comments, there are not a lot of them, so Jesus, you win. That's got nasty. I assume you found you did indeed have lice. Surely all her hair will contaminate the rest of the office. Um. Oh my gosh. Actually, yeah, the whole office will suffer after this because she will have lice. She will probably not realize she had lice for quite a while because OP didn't realize they had lice. And like they found out from their browser. And I don't think, yeah, the whole office will probably have to be like cleaned very, very shortly. Oh my god. Um, I'm glad I'm a nice person. Well, I'm not nice, but I'm, I don't have enemies like this. Oh my god. Um, okay. Okay, this next story is from malicious compliance, and the title is 1 minute ended up costing them. It's a bit short, so let's start with it. Around 20 years ago, I got a job at a local factory which manufactured aluminium windows and doors for some very large new buildings, huge skyscraper types. I started out as a general laborer, but within 3 years, I had worked my way up to feature manufacturer. Since the firm invested a huge amount of money in a new CNC machine, I was selected to be one of the program operators. I was sent to Germany from the UK to be taught how to run it. It was a real it was a real head scramble to start with, but eventually I figured it out and loved the job. Once it was installed and running smoothly, the company was able to deal with much bigger contracts, so naturally took them on. In order to fulfill all the work, I had to ensure the machine worked every minute of the working day possible. My hours were 8 to 5. I would arrive at work at 7:30 and spend the next 15 minutes firing up all the computers, turning on the machine and running it through all the setup procedures and making sure it was ready to go. Then I would walk across to the main factory at 8 o'clock to clock in. However, one day I had a small issue with my machine which took a few minutes to fix, so by the time I got to the clock in machine it was 8:04. I really didn't think anything of it until I got my payslip that week. It was 15 minutes short. So I went to see my manager. He looked at the payslip and said the company policy was 3 minutes late clocking allowed only. Always the time is an automatic 15-minute deduction, but he knew it was genuine reason for the late clocking, so would speak to the payroll rep and get it sorted. They, however, said tough. Rules are rules, so no prizes. Guess what I did next? From then on, I arrived at 7:30 and sat and drank coffee until 7:55. Walked over to clock in and only then started my setup. The 2.5 hour a week amounted to a large amount of lost production. Teams of features began to run out of product after about a week. At that point, the big boss got involved. He realized immediately that he could not ask me to go back to doing what I did before, so he offered me 13 minutes a day, our overtime rate. Well, why not? I was there anyway. This 1 minute extra on the clock cost them 2.5 hours a week at a time and a half for the next 2 years when I finally left the company. Um, okay, it's they did a bad thing, but a lot of people don't really like to get into like why were you late and if you let you off, everyone will try to get off. I think it's a dumb rule that 1 minute over the allowed amount is automatic 15 minutes. Also, kicking up the first 15 minutes. I don't know how my hour works. I, I don't know. But the guy just worked for free. Mm. Like when I worked on my job, when I could skip out a bit, like if no one else told me to do this additional thing, I wouldn't do it because time is money, and I already arrived scratched early, in my opinion, so I wasn't about to do it early. I was paid for the times that they asked me to like come early. So yeah. Um uh, Comments. Admittedly, you shouldn't have set up machines of the clock in the first place. You should have been making the company pay for the half hour of setup time. They wanted to set up, unless you were a partner, you weren't making anything of the time. Yeah. Not the comment. Seriously, what the hell were you working for free? If you're making $15 per hour, you shorten yourself 2,000 a year gross pay. Wow. And the last comment. Never work for free. Nice. Our next story is from subreddit Antiwork and it's titled I automated my job over a year ago and haven't told anyone. Okay, so here's the story. I saw some similar posts to this, so I thought I'd jump on the bandwagon. I work for a mid-sized law firm that hired me as an IT specialist to handle all of their digital evidence for trials. The law firm was in the process of changing their evidence management system to cloud-based. They wanted me to be the only person with admin access to the cloud. Everyone else would be limited to view only and would work on a local network drive. Sounds great, but I quickly realized this was the only task they expected me to perform in my 8-hour shift. This was in no way an 8-hour job, so I was stuck finding busy work at the office most of the time. Then COVID happened and I was asked if there was any way I could work from home. I set up a remote workstation, turned it into my house, and that's when the real fun began. In about a week, I was able to write, debug, and perfect simple scripts to perform my entire job. It essentially scans the on-site drive for any new files, generates hash files for them, transfers them to the cloud, then generates hash files again for fidelity. In court, you have to prove that digital evidence hasn't been tampered with. I clock in every day, play video games or do whatever. And at the end of the day, I look over the logs to make sure everything runs smoothly. Then clock out. I'm only at my desk maybe 10 minutes a day. It is my dream job. For a while I felt guilty, like I was ripping the love film off. But eventually I convinced myself that as long as everyone is happy, there's no harm done. I'm doing exactly what they hired me to do, all of the work is done in a timely manner, and I get to enjoy my life. Win-win for everyone involved. Edit. Want to answer a few questions that have been added. How much am I getting paid? Enough. What work did they hire me to do? Sorry if it wasn't clear. The firm gets thousands of digital documents, photos, etc. on a daily basis. All this goes on a local drive. My job is to transfer all of these files to the cloud and then verify their fidelity. Why do they think this is an 8-hour job? Before they hired me, they were struggling to keep up with things. Employees submit a spreadsheet of all files they've placed on the local drive at the end of the day. Then admin manager would check the spreadsheet and manually drag and drop the folders files into the cloud. I still receive the spreadsheet every day, and it's what I use to verify my logs. Why am I lazy? Why am I wasting my life? I don't feel like I am. I do have a passion project that I work on during the day, but it's not revealed to the discussion. Hence, the whatever portion of play video games or do whatever. Why did I feel guilty? Is there a library slow? I know it doesn't feel most post here, but I don't hate my boss. He's actually really nice, albeit not tech savvy at all. I don't actually work with or see the lawyers. I fall under the administration since I don't have an IT department. What code language am I using? How can I do this? The script in Byee some portions of PowerShell. The base code is fairly simple, and most of it came from googling bat transfer files followed by a bat dot by how to only transfer the same type file types at a care. The trick was making it work with my office, knowing where to scan for new files, knowing where not to scan due to lag here. To lag, seriously, if you have a folder with 200,000 TXT files that crop will severely slow down your scans. But to move it manually and then change the script to omit that folder from future searches. Why don't you sell and make bank? Please understand that it's not some high-end program that's for millions. It's a few lines of code written in Notepad. It only has value in this situation because no one else had the skill to do it. This is the type of script people put on GitHub with a $5 price tag and link to their PayPal. Yeah. This the way they describe this code, it's fairly easy. I think I'm not a programmer, so I can't say, but yeah, if working on less files, I think it would work like like a charm. With more files, I think I would have much more trouble with coming up with something like that. Edit 2. One more edit to answer a few more things. Don't delete the script due to legal reasons. I agree. I checked my employer contact and there is no IP agreement in there, so I should be safe, but it's probably better if I don't try my luck. How are you using your own equipment? Short announcement. The local drive is theirs, the cloud drive is theirs, the VPN is there. The PC that I bought with my own money, specifically for the stocks, only runs the script. There is no work files or evidence being stored on my PC. The script is literally the only thing on the PC other than OS. Carpenters might buy their own tool because they know exactly what's in it and what works for them. I bought my own PC for the same reason. Yeah, yeah, it's a lot of files. I don't think your own PC that you use for like everyday stuff or just just for entertainment can actually drag all of this on top of your own things. So yeah, getting your own PC is, getting a separate PC is a great idea. Technically, I would say that the company should have bought him this PC, but he gets to keep that PC after all of that. So it's not like he loses much. He can just do other things on that PC after he maybe quits. But I don't think he will with the type of job he has right now. Third question. It can be this simple, this is fake because you're doing blah blah blah. You're right, it's not this simple. There are more steps involved in the script and its perform function I haven't discussed. Discussing this function would be more likely to give away my location. The core of the script transfer and hash is accurate. It's the extra steps I take that are specific to my office and I'm leaving out. Yeah, I don't think he can actually serve by his maybe work agreement. I'm not sure because he works for a law firm. I don't think he can actually specify what actually the script does, how he actually programmed it. I think he can Yes, sell it. He will make, it's not worth millions, but as he said, for $5, I think a lot of people would buy it. Like maybe it would bring him maybe, let's say, $500 a month if 100 people buys it. Yeah. And the last answer was yes, I saw the Newsweek article. No, I'm not worried. So I actually don't know what article he talks about because this post was posted in, well, 4 years ago. Maybe I could try and find it, but I'm not actually sure I can. And none of the comments so far I looked, I couldn't find what they were talking about. So, anyway, some of the comments that do actually talk about something. Think of your wages as subscription service to your automation program. Lol. Big companies love subscription services, right? And OP replied, "Oh, this mindset, I can get behind it." Yeah. Another comment. If it helps you justify it, they're not paying you for the 10 minutes a day it takes you to do that. They're paying the work to be done reliably and an expert on standby full time, ready to jump in and address any issues they happen. If you leave, then even if you leave the script, if they don't replace you and something goes wrong, they're packed up, shit creek. And repeat reply, this is true. Every now and then I have to perform redraws maintenance, like restarting my PC. Yeah, it's very hard. But in actuality, yeah, they're not exactly paying. They are. They think they are paying him for doing all of this manually, when in reality they pay him to actually they paid him to create this program and actually run it and like write any bugs that it might have. Because every once in a while your PC is like, well, I'm tired, I'm overheated. Let me do this little glitch, and you have to restart your PC. So yeah, he is actually an expert who is overlooking the whole program because it's just he's paid money for someone who's supposed to do it manually. It's just not bad. This is actually nice. I want this for myself. Would you want this work for yourself, or you would be bored out of your mind? Our kind of last story will be from Malicious Compliance, and the title is "Oh, that was Katie's job." I'm not sure if this belongs to Malicious Compliance, but I figured people will enjoy it. Based on comments I have read so far, yes, they enjoy it. This is a large story, and there will be an update. Uh, okay, so here's the story. I was working for a manufacturer years ago. It was a small operation run by a husband CEO and his wife with a sister business of a front end platform that was run by the vice brother. Oh, Mother's brother's wives. Goldfish, good noses, oh my gosh. Okay, so husband's mom and some cousins also worked there between two businesses. With an operation like this, you had the typical micromanagement from CEO, minimum wage pay for top dollar, performance expectation, and in general nonsense you can expect in a setup like this. I had this job while in college and needed to build my resume, and they let me have a flexible schedule so I could leave early for my night classes, and I had midterms and finals, so I knew I had to stick it out. After about 6 months of working there, my job responsibilities grew tremendously. But my salary did not. There was a high turnover rate in the office rooms that we are a family environment that meant actual family got special treatment and everyone else was expected to do a crazy amount of work without getting any credit. One of my friends, we'll call her Katie, was looking for work and my company was hiring. I told her that she was getting into, but as recent college grad looking for office experience, she decided to give it a shot. First, my referral bonus never came in after she had worked there for 90 days and was told that I shouldn't inquire about it because I referred someone to help company, not to get extra money. I wasn't in a position to push, so I didn't. Look, she didn't do it to help the company. She did it to help her friend. And yeah, okay, look, I get it. When you're told how shitty the job is, but you kind of need that little something to put in your resume. So when someone asks, "Do you have experience?" you say, "Yes, here's my experience." And like even if they gave you bad review, I'm going to assume that everyone else came from there with probably bad reviews, and other companies know them. So yeah, in the business world, everyone knows pretty much everyone. Maybe not personally, but at least some gossip. Oh yeah. Okay, continue. I tried getting her role as she was taking some of my old responsibilities. Well, the CEO and the wife didn't like how much time the two of us spent talking to each other or how much time was spent away from our desk, which was generally us using the restroom and getting water. This made no sense because I handled product onboarding and Katie suggested products for curated events, so it was important that she knew what new products were coming out and when she could start promoting them, so that stock wouldn't sit in warehouse. We separately had meetings with the CEO and office manager, putting us on probation for this behavior. I'm sorry for what behavior? For doing their job? Ooh, ew. Q malicious compliance. We stopped talking as much in the office, effectively cutting me off from created events and making it impossible for Katie to use our new products on the upcoming events. Events could be scheduled anywhere from a week to several months in advance, so it was a great way to boost sales and visibility for our newer times. My friend ended up getting fired for having a brain and questioning some of the stupid policies. Oh yeah, don't question. Also for doing something so atrocious as thanking her unpaid lunch hours, showing up at 9 and leaving at 5. Normally, I would have gone back into the platforms to create events until they found someone to take over the role, but I was petty. I had been there for a little over a year. I was training employees, teaching myself the ins and outs of all our tailors back to ends to upload products, coordinating with our factories overseas, the freight companies, and our warehouse so that products would be live as soon as we had stock. And was still getting paid like I did for the minimal role I had when I got hired. So not my job, not my problem. Girl, you don't do the jobs that you're not paid to do. Fast forward a few months, the CEO decided to show up to work on the office floor instead of working out of his private office. Whenever he was on the floor, he always super out and disrupted the general flow. I heard him talk about sales from the past few months, specifically about sales from events, so naturally my ears perked up. He started getting louder. I don't get it, there's this huge discount in sales. None of our new products are getting any traction. I haven't been addresses, so I kept tapping away at my computer and acted oblivious. He glanced over the office manager and they started hashing it out. 6 months ago, the sales for our new items went down significantly. I'm thinking, yeah, and that's when he told me and Kaylee to stop talking. The initial data was uploaded with product photos and description weren't clear. It would have been a very long process for Katie to see shoes and new products, to try and match them to events as opposed to what we used to do. She would tell me the theme and what she was looking for, and I'd get her that on a short list of types that she could review to match to site events as opposed to dumping 100 products on her. Then 3 months ago, they became almost non-existent. Sales have dropped almost 70% with these events. 3 months ago is when Katie got fired. Eventually, the two of them pieced together that they need to blame whoever is creating events, and the CEO starts asking everyone its own whose responsibility is to work on the events. Finally, it gets to a point where I can't stay quiet. The office is too small and I play too big of a role in product management, so I chime in. Oh, wasn't this Katie's responsibility? CEO replies, she hasn't worked here in 3 months. You mean to tell me no one has been submitting this problem for 3 months? He's livid, and it's clear that I am now in the path of the verge. Why has no one been handling this? Everyone's handling looking around, and the office manager, let's call her Karen, starts shifting the blame onto me since technically Katie was in my department. Once the freaking point started, I was prepared to defend myself. Well, Karen, I thought you were the one who was in charge of managing and keeping track of every employee role. So Karen implies. I am, but you know was an important part of our sales and marketing. I reply this, the week before she was let go, didn't you specifically got all of her passport and a complete list of all of her tasks? Karen replies, yes, she is clearly concerned with where I'm going with this. And after she was let go, did you communicate to me that all tasks were now my responsibility? Karen, well, no, but I shouldn't have had to. Me, but you're in charge of delegating tasks and managing, making sure all work is assigned to employees. Are you implying that I was supposed to know that you had a list of tasks unassigned? I would assume that you didn't delegate those to another team member when there's an essential part of your role. Needless to say, while Karen was very annoyed with me, but I wasn't taking the fall. They didn't ask me to curate events. Karen handled that, which caused them to hire another person very quickly because it was too much work for her on top of her other tasks. The story of me and the new girl needs its own post, so I add this one here. JR, office manager and CEO let go a very productive employee for stupid reason and is discovered 6 months later no one's doing her job because they never delegated it to anyone. Okay, there's a little part two is up under Petro Ranch. We'll read it later. And two, Cat is doing well for those who are asking. After she got fired, she was able to collect unemployment. She had her a job since high school and worked all through college, so she took advantage of getting paid to look for work, which was especially nice since it was on the company's dime. She has a good job now as an office manager for a company that has very few different branches in our area. Good for her. Some of the comments. This was worth a read. Waiting patiently for chapter 2 with a new coworker. Okay, someone said, I sometimes hope chapters 2 come with built-in paragraphs. I don't get it. I read it with paragraphs. They're big, but whew. Okay, so someone is saying, I'm looking forward to the new girl posting, and which manage with management like that, that is a company still in business. It probably is in business because it was all posted approximately about 3 years ago. Yeah. Okay, so to our update that okay. So here's part two, an update of our story. It was posted in Petty Revenge, so the OP tried to post it in malicious compliance. I think it couldn't be posted there because this is more of a Petty Revenge because she got fired here. Oops, spoilers, sorry. Okay, so let's read. She mentions that she will out paragraphs this time because she didn't in the last one. I didn't see. Maybe she'll edit this story. Yeah, she probably edited. Okay, so here's the story. So Willett always its CEO found a replacement for Katie shortly after Karen, the office manager, started doing Katie's job. Since I didn't know the replacement from before and was training her, let's call her Susie, they were all of a sudden totally fine with me meeting regularly with Susie to help her curate events as well as provide new products option to her. Unfortunately, CEO used this to prove how awful Katie was, since after several months of Susan thank you over there was a nice boost in sales, especially from the newer products. Susie was in her early 40s and truly doing this job for fun. Her husband's salary was enough to cover their bills, but all of her kids were in school and she wanted to feel productive. She had a lot less to lose than I did or Katie did, and she wasn't relying on this account. Yeah, you work much better if you're not relying on this job, because you're not worried, you're not stressed all the time, so this goes greatly for you. Anyway, continue. Very quickly, Studio realized that the office was run like a total shit show with the CEO changing his mind every other day about how to handle tasks. I had another trainee that was helping me on board products, and we were manufacturing new at times so quickly that it was nearly impossible to get every new product into an event, which is what we were tasked with. So Susie and I decided to meet with CEO and Karen to go over realistic expectations and how to best handle our workload. We tried to explain that with the delays at port, we couldn't add the new items because anything that was out of stock was pulled from the event, and that meant a different in-stock item wasn't being featured. CEO and Karen make it seem like they get it, but they truly don't. And of course, they're not doing the job. During the time that Susie began to work in there I had two family emergencies several months apart. First, my 15F cousin who wasn't from the US, had been working at the company in the US over the summer and was spending her last week before she flew home with her grandparents. Her grandparents lived about 2 hours away from where I worked in traffic. I got a call from my dad. His absolutely frantic cousin's father had been rushed to the ER and she is now alone in their house and needs to leave for the airport. She's very distressed and they're nervous about her going to the airport alone. I told my dad that I don't know if he can call the rest of my family first, and if no one else can do it, I'll go to get her. About 15 minutes later, my dad calls me back. No one else can get her. It's also important to note that I worked right near the airport she was going to, so even though round trip would take me about 3 hours, if I was lucky once I drop her off, I'd be able to come back to work pretty easily. I tell about my boss there is a family emergency that I'm clocking out and I will make up my hours in the evening if necessary. I try to pick up my cousin who is barely holding it together. I try to calm him down, but she is so worried, especially since she knows that she will likely be on the plane when we all find out her grandfather is okay. There's also craziness of the morning she hasn't eaten, so I took her to get some food for lunch and for the airport, which added a bit of time to the road trip. I ended up back in the office about 5 hours later. It was now around 4 in the morning, in the afternoon, but I was planning on making up the time. I come back and Karen is coloring on with me and wants an explanation as to what happened. I was young and naive, and so explaining the situation would get me some sympathy. No, it never does. Don't explain. Say something really horrible happened, you don't want to talk about it, and can actually start whining about it. No one likes whiners, so. Several months after that, I got a call from my mom late at night. My uncle has been badly conscious, isn't going to make it. He has a DNR, but they're keeping him on life support for about 24 hours to give everyone a chance to say goodbye. I was the only person in my immediate family living in the USA, so it was really important to me that I got to see him. I call my work and tell them my uncle's about to pass away. I'm going to pay my respect. I'll be back on Monday. This was a Saturday night. I asked that I didn't have anything time sensitive to do for work and told them to text me if they had any questions on Friday. My boyfriend comes with me so I don't have to do this whole trip alone, and we drove through the night to get to my uncle who was in the hospital a few states over. I got to spend a lot of time with him on Friday, and we did a family call with him that seemed to have lifted his spirits. He wasn't fully responsive at this point. I had a friend who lived between where my uncle was in the hospital and back home, so we stayed there until Friday night. I wasn't ready to head home just yet, and Saturday night he was still breathing, even so he was off life support, so we ended up driving back to see my uncle. I didn't realize that he was always life support at this point, and my boyfriend and I were in the room when my uncle passed away. Needless to say, it was extremely emotional. The service wasn't going to be for another week or two, and he was being cremated, so we weren't able to stay and wait for that. We ended up on the road around 2 3 a.m. Sunday morning and found a hotel to crash for 6 hours before driving home. I worked at work on Monday and was total wreck. Between watching my ankle pass and the lack of sleep, I'm barely keeping it together. I must have gone to the bathroom and cry every other hour. Well, see, the CEO decides Monday is a perfect day to meet about my job performance. He has a whole meeting with me, and the people who make it far in business don't put their family first, and he's just about had enough of my family emergencies. Dude, she had like two family emergencies. I'm completely suspicious since I wasn't expecting such a harsh reaction and meekly reply, okay, keep in mind, I only missed one day of work. I regularly stayed late and came in early, but after our little chat, I was done doing that. I was going to be graduating from college in about a month and had finally had a strong enough resume to look for other work. After graduating, I asked CEO for a raise to go from $6.5 to $20 an hour. And then we would negotiate and meet in the middle, but I was appalled when the response was we can do 17. I explained that I now had a degree, had been working there for 2 years, and at minimum $18 was turned down for a postgrad. They finally agreed to that, but I was already salty after that family talk and was looking for the jobs elsewhere. During all this time, Susie and I using our Google chat to coordinate things for work and maybe slightly complain about CEO and how he would tell us to do one thing, we'd explain why it wouldn't work, then he'd push us to try it, it would fail, and then he'd be annoyed that we didn't push back at his suggestions if we knew it wouldn't work. Again, I was young and stupid, and it didn't really occur to me that my work would be able to read those chats. I never straight out talking to him, called him an idiot, but we definitely complained a lot. Uh, this company is having a hard time functioning since I'm not putting in our time anymore. This meant that everyone I delegated tasks to often spent time doing nothing during the day while I prepped the work they needed to do. I used to come in an hour or two early and stay a few hours late so that come at 9 a.m. I could meet with everyone on my team to delegate tasks and do any trainings for the new backnicks we would be using. I was missing work randomly at this point for job interviews, and between my department productivity declining and missing days, I was put on probation yet again. At no point during this time did Karen or CEO has the sense to get my pass for daily task, ask where I kept the trainings on computer etiquette. I have an interview for a great job. As it turned out to be a shit show much later on, I need to write a post about it, so I'm still working there. I knew that if I miss another day at work, I may lose my job. I was plenty patient at this point, and plus the new job wanted someone ASAP, so I figured I'd be okay financially as they did fire me. The days after the job interviews that I missed work for, I get a call at like 9:30 at night from a number I don't recognize while I'm at the gym. Why are you at the gym at night? I had been applying for lots of jobs and didn't want to miss a call, so I answered. It was CEO telling me that he no longer felt I was good fit for the company and they were letting me go. I knew I'd get unemployment and it wasn't like I could argue that, so I said thank you for the opportunity and we ended the call. I then called Susie immediately to tell her what just happened. As I'm in the middle of speaking and she says, hold on, I'm getting a call from another number. You guessed it, it was CEO firing her too. Oh my gosh, what did Susie do? I was getting employment for about 2 weeks before starting my new job, which was actually a nice break for me since I hadn't really had time off in several years. I'm at my new job and I start getting mails from my current. They want password, the documents, that I care. I thought that everything was saved in my Google Drive and anything that isn't there I don't remember. Carlson calls me to get me to verbally confirm that nothing was saved on my computer and it was all in Google Drive. So it's yeah, that's how you ask this file to be saved so that everyone had access. I knew how stupid this was on their part because you always want documents like this always set to your computer so you have the original and sometimes the Google Drive malfunctions. But my maliciously complied when they told me Google Drive was enough. Well, they didn't realize that when they deactivated my email, all the files that I was the owner of would disappear. Oh my god. They didn't have a clear list of my tasks and had an impossible time resetting any password since per their request all of the logins use my email address. How do you reset password when the email used for log is deactivated? Anyways, I like my set sleeps at night. TLDR, work doesn't give me a desert race, puts me on probation for attending to genuine family emergencies, and then fires me because I missed too many days going in interviews. Once they deactivated my email, they lost all my work, and because I maliciously complied and didn't save any document to my computer, 2 years worth of trainings and document were lost. Oh my god. um, and this is well, it's not exactly a revenge on their part. They did catch their revenge, but it wasn't done by them because people working for that company were stupid and didn't actually listen or remember the stuff that they were asked to do and actually didn't support their workers. Wow. I'm glad to say that I didn't have the experience working under those people, but I do know of people who work under people like that who have same as their bosses, and I feel like I pity them. At least they have a resume now, and at least they like got something out of it. But based on their comments that their new job was a shit show later on too, well, like fate isn't kind to them. Um, Okay, so there are some comments. I'm trying to remember. I want to say part one went on to the times how it was a family business that treated people like family, the staff, or for us, but we want to separate because it's family. If that memory is accurate, 15 childhood dust, it makes pushing OP for family emerges that much more egregious. Yeah. Okay, one of the comments asks, but why is use it too? Someone says, so OP replied, so they never told Edo us exactly why we were fired. Interestingly enough, I qualified for unemployment and she didn't. She had some mutual friends with the CEO's wife, and from what she gathered, it was because we talked badly about CEO in our chats. Yeah, I want to say it, but I forgot. Kind of, don't talk shit in any group chat that someone later on might have access to. Like anyone can have everything. Talk about it like in person maybe or over the phone. Don't ever text it. It can be screenshotted. You know the person you're texting to. It can be screenshotted and save it for later. Whew, this is actually a long story. Okay, Lallis, this was the last story for today. Those stories weren't exactly wild, but I have yet to have such an experience as some of the worst you had, and I honestly wish to never have it. And I wish that none of you have such an experience. Hope you enjoy it. Bye!